Uh, hey everyone, welcome to the Village Support Network update meeting. We're really glad you could join us. We have quite a group here and more are still coming in. So we're going to jump in because we're committed to our time with you. I'm Ann Herbster. I'm the president. I've seen many of you on Pizit's monthly meetings, and we have other members. Let me share my screen. We'll dive right in and get started. So just give me a second here. So in our agenda today, I'm going to quick go through the agenda. We'll do some welcome. We're going to have the board members that are our board members, just so you get to know who we are. We're not going to introduce everybody. We ask that you did put your village name on your image so people know which villages you're from. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about, just give you a little history about VSN, Village Support Network, how we help the villages. We're going to show you examples. We have some conversation. Kathy is our treasurer. She is going to talk about reimbursement, just so you're aware of just some high level stuff. And then we do want to jump into the meat of this because we want to talk about village needs, challenges, opportunities, and sharing of ideas as well, so that you can share some of the things you've done. I know we seem to run out of time at Pizit's meeting, so this could be an opportunity. We're going to share a bunch of ideas of things we've seen. We want to hear from you. And just bear with me as I try and move my slide. So let me, before we jump to the board, and this is a picture of the board, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and ask the board members to introduce themselves. You see them there and just say hi. Kathy.
I'll start. Hi, I'm Kathy Cox, and I've worked with some of you, and I'm happy to meet the rest of you today. I grew up in Montgomery County, and those of you that know Trish Evans, we have been friends since we were both 6 years old, which was just a couple years ago. So we she got me involved with this, and I'm really excited because my family and friends are all still in Montgomery County as well. But I am living in Florida now, so I am like in the Hades of the United States, although I know you all feel that as well, but I'm in Southwest Florida. So that's why you won't see my face too often in person, but I do try to make it up to Maryland and visit at least once a year. So
Great. Kelly, I'm going to go through people on a quick call on board members that are here. Go ahead.
Hi, yep, I'm Kelly. I'm actually a friend of Kathy and Trish, and they suckered me into this as well. But I was interested in learning more about villages before I knew that Kathy and Trish were doing this, and so I'm just trying to help as best I can. I look forward to learning from you guys and from helping however I can.
Thank you. Leslie.
Hi, I'm Leslie Mulligan, and I have only known Trish since I've been 64 years old, so a much shorter duration. She also conscripted me into this about a year and a half ago, not quite, through my sister-in-law. I knew nothing about this movement. Most of my career was actually in Silicon Valley. I come at this from a corporate perspective, so hopefully I can bring some fresh ideas into this movement, and I've enjoyed my last year and a half. I'm still learning as well. But I would like to make this practical, pragmatic, helping you all get what you need and forging our relationship, our partnership as we go forward.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. BT, I know you're here. Barb.
I go by BT. My name is Barbara Thomas. I joined VSN about a year ago or so, and I'm very proud to be a board member. This is one of the organizations that's really helping villages, and I hope you'll utilize our services.
Thanks, BT. Trish. Trish is one of the founders. So Trish and I started.
I really am not that much of an arm twister. Only when I just have to have really terrific people in my circle, and it gets bigger every day. I know many of you either through Pizit or through the last 8, 9 years that I've been with the city of Rockville. And yes, Ann and I started this, and just recognizing the need. When I was sitting on all of your meetings in the county and seeing these these redundancies in need, that I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if there was an organization whose sole purpose is dedicated to helping villages grow, thrive, start, and be successful.
Thanks. Katie.
Hi there, good to see you all. My name is Katie Ostrowski. I've been with VSN since 2021 when Ann asked me if I'd like to be a board member. I was on the Rockville Senior Commission from 2020 to 2021, but when we moved up to Smithsburg, I had to step off of that, but I've been with VSN since then. And then I guess it's 7 degrees of separation, is it, Trish? I also work with Trish for the city of Rockville, so I know many of you through working there, and I'm excited to be here today. So thank you all for being here with us.
Is there anybody else that I can only see one screen? So is anybody else? So great. Thank you guys. We may have some other members join later. I'm going to go back to the presentation. So we've got, here we go. So here's a picture of our board. We are a working board. We are all actively involved. Trish is an advisor. Eddie Rivas, who many of you I know, has been, I knew Eddie years ago when Eddie and I both worked at AARP. And he is unfortunately at another village meeting and couldn't make it, but he might be able to join us at the end. We'll see what happens. And, you know, my commitment, I helped my dad start a village up here in New York, where I am visiting in Westchester County, and have worked with AARP for many, many years. And Trish and I started this because we saw a need. And if you hold on, I'm going to jump through some of the early stuff. I wanted to give you a little background. There's been a lot of questions about what is Village Support Network? Who are we? How did we get started? In 2017, Trish and I met when I became a commissioner on the Rockville Senior Citizens Commission. And we started talking, and I offered her my services because I had helped. And we started Rockville Area Village Exchange for the city of Rockville, specifically to support the new villages that were being formed. And our goal was to provide this foundational support. We know new villages, as they're getting started, they need help with, you know, getting started within the community, engagement, outreach, visibility, things like that. And as we expanded, we got funding from the county. We expanded our services to support Montgomery County, and we changed our name because Rockville Area Village Exchange is a great name, but we were much broader than Rockville. We are throughout Montgomery County, and we are funded through Montgomery County. We also have grants from the city of Rockville. We've gotten grants from Suburban Hospital. We've also done an annual giving campaign. We're looking at sponsorship activities. So we're looking to grow and expand our funds so that we can actually do more to support the villages. And we went the wrong way. Just bear with me here. So our mission, I think this is really important that we share our mission. It's on our website. And for us, we empower developing and vulnerable villages, offering this tailored support, operational support to ensure sustainable growth and success. Our mission is to work with new and developing and vulnerable. So a village that maybe has been around for 5, 6, 7 years is really struggling with board members or is really struggling with membership, we would consider that a vulnerable village as well. But we work with all the villages. So some of the stuff we do, we want to support all villages and give you resources and tools. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But so it's not just new and vulnerable, but our first priority is really to work with new and vulnerable villages. Our commitment is how do we help them get started and launch. Here's a variety of logos. It's not all of them, but we have probably worked with close, if not over 20 villages in probably the past 2 years alone. And I'm going to share how we've done that and what we've done with some of the villages. You know, when we think about what we do best, there are a couple key areas. I want to go back. Gregory raised his hand, and please raise your hand if you've got questions. I'm happy to stop. Gregory, do you want me to go back, or what's your question?
No, I don't think I did raise my hand.
Oh, okay. Please feel free to raise your hand. And
I'm happy with whatever I'm hearing.
Okay, thank you. That's great. If you've got questions, I'm happy to take them on specific pages or at the end, whatever you're comfortable with. But what we do best, and these are some areas that we have really focused on and I think have achieved some great successes in around creative design, collateral, website design and support. So it's not just designing websites. And I'll share some of the examples of what we've done, helping with technology tools, insurance support, and we've created an online resource within Village Support Network. I'll show that a little bit later, where we have tools and resources that are out there available to all the villages who might need them, free of charge. So let's jump into creative design. It's much more than logos. We have done quite a few logos. We've done modified logos. Burning Tree, I think it was you. We did the 10-year anniversary. I think that was you. I actually have an example of it. We've also designed for Resilient Health. We designed a newsletter. We've designed a template. Some other examples of design work is flyers, some yard sign, postcards, banners. We have identified some great resources that we're able to call on that have gained experience in working with the villages and understand the needs to try and help create things. Here's some examples of what we've done that are coming up. This is just a few of them. It's not all of them, but you see they're different. And the beauty of having somebody who will sit down and connect with each individual village or the group that's forming, logos are a great way, as you all know, to build your presence and awareness within the community. Let's talk about collateral. This is the fun stuff. Here's something, we will work with the villages to identify what your needs are. And we've used a lot of stuff from Vistaprint. We are a 501c3, so we've gotten our tax-free status, which has been great. Banners are a great tool to get the word out. Here's two examples. You can get them, they're waterproof. We can state that. Trish had an event. We had them out in the rain. You just let them dry out. They did do well. Here's an example of a postcard that we did for Mid-County. And here's some other examples. We've done tote bags for villages. We just did safety vests, magnets, flashlights, flyers. Christy is on, and I asked Christy from Strathmore Belpre. We've done a variety of stuff with her. I'd ask her right now, Christy, if you don't mind, take a minute or so and talk about these yard signs you did, because this is pretty unique of what you're doing, and maybe some of the other stuff in your experience in working with Village Support Network, if you don't mind.
Well, sure. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Village Support Network, because they've really helped Strathmore Belpre a lot with technology funds, creative design in our logo, and the financing of our yard signs. One of our issues, we're in one specific neighborhood, and we had some difficulty getting the word out to people within the community. There's a newsletter that goes out, but not everybody reads that. So Anne had mentioned yard signs, and I didn't know how to make a yard sign that would be reusable. So we came up with the idea to, the sign itself is fairly blank. It's got a lot of blank white space, but I added Velcro to them, and I bought a bunch of sentence strips. And that way we can change it with the specific event, the day and the location and time. And it's been really helpful. There's a lot of people who have noticed our events now, thanks to the yard signs. So
that's great. Thank you, Christy. And we've done other yard signs where just, hey, the villages have just created with their village information where they're having an event, and instead of a banner, they may do yard signs. So this is, I think, a great new idea. We just did this with Christy, and it's a way for you to reuse your materials, so it's not a once and done type thing, because they can become quite expensive. Here's something new we just did in collateral. We worked with Mill Creek Village, and they reached out to us and said, hey, would you consider funding a little free library? And we said yes, but it has to have the village logo and village information on it. And so this is both a way of helping in the community, but also, when you think about it, guys, this is something you can get your village out there. It's another way for you to create awareness. So we can get creative. We can work with you on different ideas and different things, ways for you to get the message out there within your community. I did mention tote bags. Let me go back to that for 1 second because, oops, wait, that didn't work. Well, the tote bag, we'll get to the website in a minute. The tote bags, one of the villages have, or two of them have used them as welcome bags. So as new people move in, they use the bag and they fill it with information for people within their neighborhoods as a way to create awareness about their villages. One of the other things we do, website design. So, you know, you've got a village that's starting out, or you're of an existing village, especially, but if you're starting out, you don't always need a website. A landing page, we've done just landing pages, which just provide information. But as the community groups grow and they become more formalized, we have found this wonderful designer who has worked with us, probably done 6, 7, or at least 6 to 8 village websites. She's gotten the model down, but it's customized. I'll show you some examples in a second. So it's not, oh, this is cookie cutter, you have to follow this plan. She's experienced, she can help the villages with this, but it's customized based on what they want within their needs and what other bells and whistles and things they need to fit in with that. And she does it very efficiently. She's pretty quick, and it's all based on working within the villages. We also have provided her services to update and improve existing sites. We've had a couple villages who've said, hey, would she be willing to look at our website and give us ideas and suggestions about what we can do? Can she evaluate, you know, what enhancements, usability, impact that we can provide? And then also providing guidance for on-site site management. One of the things, you know, when you think about it, this may be the first time of, you know, this is the first website and people need to learn how to manage the website. She's been able to provide experience and support. And also, you know, what other types of tools and resources that she can provide on the website. Here's 2 examples, and you can see they are different. They're not cookie cutter. The left side is Rockville Town Center Village. I'm going to have Kevin talk in 1 second. We asked him to provide feedback about his experience. And then Rhonda Baird, we just worked with her with Resilient Health. She also did Mid-County's website, but then we just recently did the Resilient Health communities and then also provided support to be able to pay for some added bells and whistles that they needed to do with that. But Kevin, do you want to talk about your experience with the website design? I think you're on, right?
Sure, I'm on. Yeah.
Hey, Kevin.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, we had a great experience with Annie Gavitt in about 1.5 years ago. Rockville Town Center Village was really gaining a lot of momentum. We realized it was time that we needed a website in order to take the next step. And so Trish connected us, you know, through the Village Support Network with Annie Gavitt. We just had sort of an initial meeting in February of last year with a few of the folks on our leadership team to talk through about ideas for what we would like, and she had ideas about what might be good. She went back, you know, basically did a scope of work, sort of took that to the Village Support Network, brought it back to us, and within a couple months we had the website up and running. She was also putting together Google Workspace for us so that we had a good Gmail account and ability to work that way. And you know, within a couple months having the website up and running, we then did a big launch event, which was at that point our most successful event. It was a lot. We had more people show up than we expected. We thought, oh, we might get 20 or 30. We got like 50 people. One of the things we did is we had little glasses made that had the logo for the Town Center Village and the website address. So we gave those out at the launch event. And at this point, and I just came off a call an hour ago where we were talking about ways that we may want Annie to help us upgrade the website in the coming months and some bells and whistles. So it's been a great experience. She's been a lot of help. We're really appreciative of all the support we've gotten on this and other things from the Village Support Network.
Thank you, Kevin. And, you know, as Kevin said, you start out with basic, but as you add membership, you want to have a donation page. She can work with you to help you figure out how to do that. It's been very successful. Okay, so let's talk about technology. That's another big area. You know, when these villages and even existing villages get started, this stuff's starting to cost some money and you've got to be able to have funds. The biggest thing we've been able to do is Zoom, providing the basic Zoom for a couple, you know, early villages to help them with the virtual stuff. MailChimp has been used as an example for helping with emails. We've done some SurveyMonkey. We've helped with 1 or 2 villages with SurveyMonkey. We've paid for Helpful Village to new startup villages to help them get started. Wix is another example of Wix, and then Google, as Kevin talked about, where we'll pay for the support. And as a village becomes a 501c3, you're able to get these at a discount. There are ways to get this at a discounted rate. We can help you do that. The last one is Canva. And I mentioned that last because Canva is a creative design tool that you can use to create a lot of different things, including newsletters. And Katie Ostrowski, who is both on our board and has been helping with the city. I'm going to talk in a little bit where she's hosting a workshop, how to use Canva to do newsletters. And we're partnering with Wave to do that in August. So I'll provide that information. But these are just some examples. The list is incomplete in the sense that if there's other tools and they're reasonably cost and we have the funds available, we are so happy to work with you to help provide that, to get you started going early on. The other thing is the OWL, and we were talking about this earlier. We got this about, oh my gosh, like 2 years ago now. And I know Christie's used it, Eddie's used it, several of the other, I think the consortium used it. And what it is it's a device that enables you to integrate in a different way, in-person and virtual participants. So you're hosting a virtual meeting, but you have people that can't attend. You've got a Zoom account or you're using Teams or whatever. It sits in the middle of your meeting. It's a 360 camera. It rotates. It enables you to see all the attendees and the presentation. It's got a remote microphone. It's easy. It's compatible. I've got it in a bag with step-by-step instructions. We loan it out. We just ask that you return it. It does not cost anything to borrow this. And we're happy to share it with anybody who has a need for this. But it is a way to make it more engaging instead of somebody just looking at a screen, especially when you've got people sitting in a conference room or at an event. So we used it for the grant training. I think it worked really well. Let me show you some other ways that we can help. Insurance has been something that is quite costly, as we know. Many of you know that have it for your insurance. As funds are available, we offer the potential to pay for the first 3 years for brand new insurance policies. And we've set it up in a way that we feel has a shared funding. We'll pay up to 75% the first year, up to 50% the second, and up to 25%. It helps a village who's never had to buy insurance before get directors and officers and liability insurance, especially, as you're starting to offer transportation and more types of events. This is something that is needed, but we know it can be quite costly. We also have, and I'm going to try and click here. Here's our website. We have a whole resource page that provides a lot of opportunities for you to download materials. There was about 2 years ago, we had done some board governance. There's a presentation. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but there's different resources here that are free that you can go and you can download those resources. Additionally, we want to connect you with network of resources. So if you reach out to us and say, I'm looking for somebody to do X, we may not have the funds, but we may have identified a resource that we are happy to be a connector for you to help you identify somebody that could help you with your specific needs. And workshops. So we've done a grant workshop. In a few minutes, Leslie's going to try and get some feedback from you guys about what your needs are and stuff. And we want to be able to do a quarterly workshop that we would open to all the villages based on what your needs are. We get somebody to come in and present. The first one that I mentioned a few minutes ago is this Canva newsletter workshop. And Katie's going to lead it on August 18th, 9:30 to 11. There is a link here. You will all get this in the next day or so. And there will be a link in the presentation. You can register. It's free. You register at Wave. It's another way that we're working with different partners throughout the county to bring different kinds of resources and presentations to you. So if you're interested, this will be something great for you to do. So I'm going to stop for a second and
Can
turn
we,
it
can we
over.
stop? Anne,
Yes.
sorry, Kim, I think Kim raised her hand.
Okay.
In the, yes.
Two things. What does WAVE stand for?
Washington Area Village Exchange.
Okay, yes.
They support DC, Virginia,
Okay.
West Virginia, and Maryland.
Okay. I'm new to this, so I'm learning. And then the other thing is, could you give me the contact information for Annie Gabbett?
I will do that. Yes, we'll provide that.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
And that was it. But this is so good. This is just so good.
Oh, great. I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Jean, do you have your hand raised?
I do. Thank you. I first of all want to thank VSN because North Bethesda Village, of which I'm the president, has been fortunate enough to take advantage of a number of things that you've mentioned. Help from Annie and in spiffing up our website. We've gotten help with some of our communications needs, help with Helpful Village, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you so much. I have a question though. Having just had a conversation very recently with Trish and her efforts on behalf of the many villages that are within the city of Rockville. Can you talk a little bit about how the two of you all interact, and particularly as it applies to funding? Not to be greedy, but we of course are looking for support for lots of things, particularly because we're just getting started with services, and we'd help with insurance and marketing of our new opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. But I kind of don't know who to ask to.
That's a great question. Yep.
So thank you.
Yes, and we can address this one-on-one with you, but just to share with the group, we were able to get a $10,000 city grant from the city of Rockville to support the city of Rockville, and in some cases in North Bethesda is included in that, to provide a variety of resources. So our goal is to go out and try and find more grants like that. And the way it works is we get the funding. We worked with Trish to develop, and Katie developed this plan of how those funds would be spent. And then we provide the financial support because, again, it's paid in arrears. So, you have to spend the money. We're able to do that with Trish to work together as partners. And Trish, we're working with her to also hopefully identify some opportunities where if she's running a workshop or something, that we would open this up to the villages. Trish, do you want to add anything else? Trish?
You're muted. Yeah.
Yes. I think it's been a great partnership. Obviously, this was a wonderful opportunity for Rockville City Villages because it came from city tax dollars, as it were. It's just the $10,000 is just for the city villages who are in development. That said, there's some crossover, and the resources that are gleaned from this grant would be shared among you. It just can't actually be spent on you. So, but if there's a workshop, like Anne said, and I think the way we work together to answer Jean's question specifically, and happy to have a three-way conversation about this, is that there's a priority system. Everybody has their hand out, and that's awesome. And just the responsibility and using those funds in the most judicious and equitable way. So to answer your question, Jean, it's just as it comes by, as the requests come in, prioritizing where the needs are and the allocation.
Awesome. Okay, and Jean, we can definitely follow up. Thank you for that. That's a good question. Kathy, I'm going to turn it over to you. I will open it up, and Kathy, our treasurer, is going to talk a little bit about reimbursement, just so those of you who work with us understand.
Okay, I know everybody's, has a different level of experience with this, so I'm just trying to hit the highlights. And just to let you know, we're just asking for your cooperation because we have a lot of strict guidelines from our funding sources, and time is of the essence as well, because we put out the money first and then we are reimbursed from these funding sources. So if we put out a lot of money and we haven't gotten our reimbursement, then we don't have any more money to put out, and the whole cycle stops. So we're not the bad guy. We're just asking for your help in trying to get what we need for our funding sources. And they have auditors and they have, requirements and things like that. So we want to know your needs. We want to know the timing of what you need, and we juggle it all, and we just do the best we can. So we want you to obtain your approval through VSN through your representative. If you don't know who your representative is, you can drop your name in the chat real quick, and your representative will contact you. But we've been in the process of having them go through the survey with you, and there's also a link if you haven't done that as well. And that's how we know what your needs are, who needs what and when. And so that survey is really important in your conversations with your representative. So once you get an approval that we say, yes, we are able to fund that, then you go ahead and figure out if we can pay it directly. For example, Christy will send us the invoice directly from Helpful Village, and it'll have a little box that says pay invoice, and we just pay that directly. That reduces the administrative issues, all the paperwork going back and forth and payments and things like that. We just pay it directly, and then the supporting documentation is done. And if you're not able to do that, then you request reimbursement from VSN, and we have a procedure that we're going to also send out with this presentation. And basically we want you to just provide all the documents in a PDF format, because again, we have to provide the documents to our funding source in a PDF format. So if you give it to us that way and not like in the content of an email, then that's one less step that we have to do, and again moves the process along faster. So you provide all that information, and then you provide how you want to be reimbursed. Let us know if an individual paid for it and show us the proof of all the payments and everything like that. Or if the village paid for it, again, show the proof of payment for that. And if an individual paid for it and then a village reimbursed that individual, then we need both sets of those documentation. So, the backs of the canceled checks, the copy of the credit card statements or debit statements for the bank statement, all of that. So I know it seems like a lot, but it is just a typical auditing request for backing up the submission for the funds. So also, we will not be reimbursing for sales tax, and we don't have to pay sales tax if we pay it directly. And sometimes we have to work with different vendors in different ways, but we're willing to work with you on all of that as well. And then you only need to provide your ACH or Zelle information one time. So once we have the account set up for you, it'll be fast. You'll get your money faster. You don't have to go to the bank. You don't have to do anything. It just shows up in 1 to 2 days. So that is the best process for everyone. And you get to spend your funds, and you're replenished and we're replenished, and it works out for everybody. So does anyone have any questions? Good.
Okay. We'll send this out, and we have found that it's efficient if you let us buy or pay. So if you get an invoice for something, if we can pay for it, we would much rather do that. It is so fast and efficient. So thank you, Kathy. This is, it's a tough role that she has in terms of submitting invoices. And many of you who have done this before know what it's like. So we want to get you all paid. So we now I'm going to turn this over to Leslie, and I'm going to bring up a blank Google Doc. And so I asked Leslie if she would lead a conversation with you guys in terms of what we can do to help you and open up ideas and share things. Hey, we've done this. Has anybody else, or that type of stuff. So Leslie, I'm going to let you do that while I open up the Google Doc.
Why don't you hold the Google Doc just for a second? Let's get the dialogue going. And then as we get some ideas, we're just trying to transcribe them, so to speak. So we are learning from all of you. So as I mentioned in my intro, I've only been around here for a year and a half. I've met some of you, but not all of you. And so this is a good opportunity for me to learn as well. So let us just open this up. We want this to be interactive and a bit of a dialogue. What are the things that you need in general? And then we can put our heads together and make sure that your board rep or your liaison is reaching out to you and talking that through. How can we help you? How can we expedite things? And how can we better communicate with you? I think we've gotten some feedback through previous surveys that communication is one area that we could improve. So that's in point of fact why we're doing this. And so we want to talk about that too. So let me open it up. You can raise your hand. You can unmute and volunteer. I'll be taking some notes. This is being recorded too. So I see Gregory, you're front and center on my video panel, so go for it.
Go. Okay. So I'm not sure who's the right person to ask this question to, or even how it should be framed exactly. But if I understand correctly, and I am new to as the president of Burning Tree Village, I've been on the board just for a year, or a little more than a year. We are members of the Village Support Network. We ourselves are not a membership organization in the sense that we don't ask for fees from. We have a catchment area, a territory. You know, we do we know what are the boundaries of our village, and we do services for people within that area, and we invite people to things, and we put up yard signs and so forth. To what extent is it important for you, or for us to get services from you, for there to be drilling down below the level of the village to know who are we serving? Do we need to provide data about who is in our village, or is it enough for us in communicating with you to say that we do these activities, we do head counts of who's showing up, but we don't disclose personal data about people who are in our village? And
Yeah.
how does that affect our use of your services, or the
Sure.
way you work with us?
I'm going to take a stab at this, and then I'll ask Anne and or anybody else that can weigh in on this. So many of our villages don't actually have formal members, right? Formal membership, and that's how these villages typically start. So we are very familiar with that dynamic. Some of our grants do require cataloging of who's attending your events, but I think you're not in the city of Rockville, if I'm right.
That's correct, yes,
So
we're in
you
Bethesda.
probably we wouldn't be bound by that particular issue. So we'll work with you to better understand how your village operates and how you sponsor these events and how you collect. We like to see what your head count looks like at different events, but we are not asking for personal data by any means. In some cases in the city of Rockville, we might ask for addresses, but that's it, just because that's what the grant requires. But let me see if Anne wants to add anything to that, or so I think we can fully support your expectations, your dynamics, without drilling too far into the personal data.
That's right. Right now, the city of Rockville is unique and distinct, and it does require that, but Montgomery County does not require that. So from that perspective, I think you're in a good. We just want to. As long as you're a village or an up and coming village, we can work with you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to jump in real quick before Fran goes,
Yeah,
because she has her hands up. And I think it's a good idea. Everybody's talking about data from the village to village network. In going forward, Gregory, that it's good to capture some numbers, because eventually you might be seeking out your own funding sources from outside, and having, we impacted 72 people every month at this event or that event. I wouldn't dive too deeply in those weeds at this point, since you're still in development and you're not sort of a formal typical, as if there's a typical village. But it's not a bad idea to kind of keep track of how many volunteer hours, whether that's planning an event or attending an event, those kinds of things. It's a good lens to put on.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that, and we do that. We do keep track of numbers and head counts, but there's a big difference between saying that 45 people attended a Front Yard Friday and listing people's names and data. And there's a lot of sensitivity to that these days, and I think it's not ill-placed, the sensitivity. So
but to echo Trish's point, having written the last couple of grants for Rockville myself, they want the data, that high level data, not the deep dives. They want to see how you're growing and what your expectations are. So to her point, it's good to collect it, but we're not going to press you to go deep on details. Okay, Fran.
Yeah, and we also have been very, very thankful for the support that we've gotten from the Village Support Network, and urge those of you in villages represented here is to really take advantage of their wonderful resources. One thing that I think I know that we need, and I wouldn't be surprised if other villages need this, which is information about viable grant and foundation sources. I mean, we develop our revenue through membership fees and so on, and through donations. But we're also looking for grants and foundation awards. So any information that you can provide villages about grant possibilities and foundations would be really, really helpful.
Okay, we'll take that on board. I have been somehow designated a grant writer of late. It is not my expertise, but I too am always looking for those kinds of things, the foundational grants and trying to understand the timing. So I think we'll take that on board and maybe we'll figure out how to catalog that and uh, transmit it to you all.
Thank you.
That would be helpful. Kevin.
Yeah, I talked a little bit before about support on the website and that side of things, so I won't add more on that. But one of the things that we're recognizing with Town Center, because of our demographics, we are try to be multi-generational and sort of reach out to a lot of folks across, different media. And we're sort of struggling, I think, a bit in terms of, how to make effective use of social media, how can we really reach out to folks? And, as we reach out to folks, how can we sort of, we get lots of people saying, oh, it'd be great if you did this, but not so many people saying, oh, I'm willing to help you do that. So sort of how to recruit people to actually be more active in sort of the activities and planning. And we have a good leadership group, but I worry about us collectively getting burnt out.
Okay, you touched on a couple things there from what I heard. One is the social media part, which might be a fun way to recruit. And I don't know if you noticed on Anne's opening slide, we have a Facebook presence and a LinkedIn presence. And so maybe we'll click on that at the end of this. That is hard to get off the ground, but then once you get a little bit of momentum, I think that might improve some things. That is also one of the topics that we're considering for an upcoming workshop. The first one, as she mentioned, is of course Canva and newsletter creation, working in conjunction with Wave, but social media has come up a few times of late, so that is something we have on our radar. We welcome that kind of feedback. One of my questions to you here will be, what else would you like to see in that workshop approach? The board leadership and burnout, they're tangential, right? But it might be slightly different. So it's something that we can work through. I think on our website in the resources site, there is a presentation on just board governance and board recruitment, but we may not touch too deeply on the burnout factor. So I think it's another topic that we should consider diving deeper on and helping you all.
I put it on the list.
And I was thinking more just in terms of getting more people active so we can spread the work rather than specifically focusing on the burnout side.
Along those lines, I just put in the link for VSN's Facebook. Like our page, join our page or whatever, and we'll do that to yours, because the more followers you have, the whole algorithm starts putting your thing in front of everybody's friends, and it all expands. So that's the thing, is to get the followers. We're still struggling with that ourselves. So join like other people's groups, and then they can do yours as well. So get the followers too.
Kathy Cox, our treasurer, is the face of our Facebook. She is she's the engine behind it. So hence her recruitment. Vernell, I think you had your hand up. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you for sharing the information about the support you provide. I have two questions. Number one, what % of your operating budget is funded by the county? You indicated that you receive funds from the county as well as from the city of Rockville. And because we're not part of the city of Rockville, what % of your operating funds come from the county?
So I'm going to turn either to our treasurer or Anne to handle that. But I would also add that we had a very successful Giving Tuesday campaign, our inaugural campaign last year, and that helped us augment our funds. So we are always looking for funding sources that will loosen some of the restrictions. So to your point, we do have some restrictions around the city of Rockville, helping Rockville villages, but we have other means other than the county of Montgomery County to help that. So
as of 2 years ago, 100% of our funds came from Montgomery County for the most part. And last year we did our Giving Tuesday campaign. And so now for this current fiscal year, starting July 1st, we're on a calendar year, but so we have to juggle, but starting July 1st of 2025, we received $12,000 from the county, $10,000 from the city of Rockville. And we ourselves as a board raised 7,000 last fall and hope to do another 5 to 7 this fall. So that's our entire funding source right now. We are still out there looking for other things, but
Okay. My second question is this. You mentioned support for insurance premiums. What is the average cost of insurance, and do you buy in bulk, or how do you structure that kind of an offering?
So I can talk to that. We just in fact, Trish, we just got a liability policy for one of your villages, right? And it was something like $350, but that did not include transportation. So that's just liability. Your D&O can cost you maybe $700-800. So, all in, if you're providing transportation, it could be about $1,300-1,400 for directors and officers, which protects you from the liability for your board, and then your liability with driver if you're driving for transportation. That's probably your additional cost. We've got a couple. Yes.
So, I'm so sorry to interrupt. This is Jean Hockren. We are just in the process of beginning a services program and are getting quotes from insurance companies. It's a little bit more. It's closer to $1,900 to $2,000 is the quotes that we're getting. It includes the D&O directors and officers coverage for drivers, but we also plan to do other services, people coming into the home to help with small tasks and that kind of thing. The insurance companies, of course, want to sell you more, and they have all kinds of other coverages as well. So we're in the process somewhat of negotiation and sort of trimming that down some. But as I said, just as FYI for anybody else who has that question as well, we're looking at just under $2,000 total.
Yeah. So, Mill Creek did it, and I think their cost was like $1,300. So it does pay to shop around, as Jean said, and it depends on, it's going to come down to what services you're providing, Vernell. And is it no transportation just for events? That's great. If there's liquor, there's added cost. And then if there's transportation, there's added cost. If you're in home, there's added cost.
Paid staff.
If you got paid staff, thank you. That's an added cost as well.
Actually, Anne, I'm
Anne. Anna,
Anna McBain. Yeah, Anna, actually, it's fine. I'm president of Mill Creek Village at the moment, and I've been on the board for a number of years, and just this past spring stepped up because we didn't have a president for a little while after Joe Isaacs stepped down. But the insurance policies that he got for us 3 years ago, we took advantage of your insurance support for that. Thank you so very much for that. We did do a D&O policy. I think it was about $450. And we still have that. And we had a liability policy that was only about $250. So our expense was not that much initially, right? But reading that policy, I don't think it covered what we wanted it to cover. And I'm very interested in, I can't remember who it was on the screen that just talked about the liability coverage that would actually cover what we want to do. We give rides, and we also want to do more in-home tasks for our senior neighbors. And we're really struggling to figure out what kind of what liability coverage we need for that and what that involves. So I'm extremely interested in that topic if you guys have more current information about that and cost. Joe had priced a lot of things out years ago on that, probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. And he thought it would be very expensive, and he ended up with this liability policy. But I honestly think it just covers the address of where our permanent address is located, which is a neighbor's home that was involved in our village setup. So if anybody has information about that, or if you guys have more on that, Anne or whoever's running that, I'd be so interested to talk to you.
So I think it was Jean. Jean, was it you, Jean Hockren, that commented on their negotiations? So we can connect you, or she can unmute, connect the two of you to have that discussion. And then we will also put together any additional information that we have and get it to you.
That would be great.
This is Jean, North Bethesda Village. And you could just contact us at info@northbethesdavillage.org. and then we can chat offline. But I do want to reinforce, I guess, what Anna is saying, which is that it's not been easy for us, to figure out how we do all of this. And so to add to your list potentially of kinds of assistance you could provide to the villages, to have a workshop about insurance, about
Okay.
how to deal with brokers, about their different kinds of coverages that are there. We learned, for example, we do a number of sporting events, small s. We got bowling and some golf stuff and things like that, which are sort of low impact, low likelihood of injury. But somebody just started a pickleball group, and we're really worried that the insurance company is going to freak out and want to add a significant rider, because people can get seriously injured playing. I mean, I guess you can get injured playing golf and bowling too, but pickleball's right up there with for all the knees and stuff. So anyway, it would be really helpful to understand what sort of what kind of coverage we should get, how we get it, how much it should cost, all that whole kind of thing. So a workshop on that would be wonderful.
Okay, that
Yeah.
point
I
taken.
put that, I got that on my list.
I want to understand that competitive pickleball that you have going on over there in North Bethesda. So, Marie, you've had your hand up for a
I
bit.
had one more comment about the insurance. Recently, there was a webinar with the County Department of Recreation that was outlining the mandatory requirement now if a village wanted to use one of the recreation centers for an event, that you now are required for insurance. There were no discussions about what the limits of that liability insurance needs to be. So if you're going to plan a workshop, I would really like to have you include that, because
Okay.
many of us will be impacted by what the requirements are for that coverage to use the facility.
Understand. Okay, good. Thank you. Marie?
And then
Yeah, I mean,
Margie after Marie.
Yes, I see.
I'm going to take us a little bit off of the insurance topic.
I'm still on
obviously-
insurance, so if you want me to go
Well,
before
you go
Marie.
ahead, Margie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
No, I just wanted to mention that because the Montgomery County Villages Consortium is serving as a fiscal sponsor for a number of organizations that are not going to have their village 1C3. What do we want to have? They all are offering different kinds of kind of everything from data to sex abuse rider. We're going to have that in place for our fiscal sponsees, but there also was a training from that I can find the link and put it up. There's a recording of it from Rob Cannon, who is with Gorges and Company, and they are in alliance with Maryland nonprofits and work with a company, Association for Nonprofit Insurance, which, if they will underwrite your plan, is a much more reasonable rate than you can get from Travelers or some of the other insurance programs. But I would recommend if you're having people go into homes that you get the sexual
full
abuse rider, because just when you're dealing with vulnerable populations, one-on-one with a volunteer, you should have that. Thanks.
Yeah, there's a continuum, right? And how much you need based on what the services you're offering. Yes.
It's how many volunteers you have active is what winds up being the escalation in that. So if you only have 10 volunteers offering services and 50 services a year versus 100 volunteers offering services and 1,000 services a year,
yeah,
that is the part that will be very variable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Margie.
Marie.
So the one thing that our village, that North Chevy Chase Connections has been discussing, is revamping our website. We've been around for about 5 years. We have a website that's kind of grown like a Maine farmhouse. And, we want to revamp that. And so we'll probably, our board is talking about possibly looking at the information we have there, updating what we've got, and then touching base with you to take a look at a way that we can make our website easier to use for everyone, including our board members, because we do have a separate section for the board members to find information. And then the second thing is obviously the owl. We have I'm trying to begin a neighborhood watch program within our area here. And what I've done is I've connected with Montgomery County Police Department. They have a group that does presentations on keeping seniors safe, for personal safety, for cybercrime, and for fraud. And I want to do an in-person presentation. Obviously, you're probably all running into the same problem. Some people are reluctant to go to these in-person presentations after COVID. So my thought was that we would try some way to have a melded, a combined in-person and online. And I'm really interested to learn how the owl will work for us. I'm looking forward to that because we have a presentation coming up on the 18th of September. And the last presentation we did just on Zoom was on the fraud, and we had 30 people on there. And so I'm thinking that we would probably do really well if we had a group. We use the North Chevy Chase Christian Church. They're very generous with us in using their group because they're within our boundaries. So they're, part of us. We're a multi-generational village, and so we encourage, people who live in our village who are not seniors, but who have parents who are seniors. So we're kind of excited about the owl.
Yes,
especially.
the owl is earmarked September 18th for North Chevy.
Yes.
Marie, if you can stick around when we conclude, maybe you, Ann, and I can just talk logistics.
Sure, I can. Yes.
Yeah, that should work. Okay, we're at the hour point. Does anybody else want to say anything? Otherwise, I'll have Ann. She has one or two concluding slides. So any other comments from the group? We really want to forge relationships. So if you don't know who your village rep is, feel free to drop us a note. And I think when she puts the slide deck up, you'll see the support at villagesupportnetwork.org is where you can kind of get to our entire community, and we can make sure that that we're reaching out to you on an individual basis. And really, we want to make this more dynamic going forward so that we have these kinds of discussions or events. We're thinking about a newsletter. Of course, I'll stop here and I'll turn it back to Ann so she can conclude for it.
So because I'm mindful of time, and I do appreciate this. And, we would love to hear from you. We work with a lot of different organizations. We've put them all here. We've presented at Village to Village. We've presented at AARP. We've had some stuff with Suburban Hospital. So, we believe in working together across organizations. We are not a standalone organization. And we do want to connect with you. And so one of the things we've talked about is we've tried to assign a board member to each village. Our priority has been newer and up and coming, but we want to work with all the different villages. We've also created and if you hold on, I'll show you. We created a survey that we put there's a QR code here that to help us capture what your needs are. One of the things we've talked about is our primary is new and vulnerable villages. But as we come to the end of our period with especially the Montgomery County grant, and comes June and villages have benefited from this, somebody says they're going to use funds for XYZ and they don't. We have a month to spend the money. We will reach out to villages who have asked us and said, hey, can you do Can you help us purchase this? Can you do these flyers? Can you purchase yard signs? Villages have benefited from last minute, oh, there's funds left over. Can you use it? And we go to our list of who has asked for things and we'll say, hey, do you still need X? Or did you already purchase this? We might be able to go back and reimburse you for that. So just because you're in a village that's been around for a long time doesn't mean that we can't work with you. But we will focus on the newer and vulnerable villages. But we also want to then do things that cross all of the villages. So in this case, if you we'll send this out, and if you don't have somebody, you'll reach back out to us and we'll be happy to tell you who your person is. And I think I'm missing this QR code. There it is. So you'll get this and you can just click on the QR code yourself and just complete it. It's a very easy survey. It tells us what specific needs. And as we capture ideas, which we did here, definitely have another insurance presentation, board engagement. How do we get more board members? What are some things we can do? There is a presentation out there on our website around board. So I would suggest you go there and look at that. And
it's the top of the list on our resource.
Thank you,
page.
Leslie. That's it. So any more last questions? If you have to go, I'm going to stop sharing. If you've got any other ideas you want to share with us, we just wanted to get out there and make you aware of who we are. I know there's been okay, who is VSN and what is RAVE, Rockville Area Village Exchange, and how are you together? Our goal is to help villages get on their 2 feet and to begin to grow and develop, and as well as to support all the other villages. Anything else? I don't see. Thank you. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate that. All right. Look for the documents. We're going to send the video and look for the documents. We'll get them out to you in the next day or two so that you'll be able, probably have you go to watch it on a Dropbox, make it easier rather than
And we'll send a PDF of the slides. So feel free to share with other of your board members, your leadership teams, and reach out to us to let us know what other kinds of communication you want to see from us. I know it's difficult. Everybody has busy schedules and meetings pop up, but we really want to forge our one-on-one relationships and our overarching relationships with you. We'll stick around now, I think, the board. So if you have any other questions, you can stay on. We have to work through the OWL